Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how I design albums for my clients inside of Fundy Designer 11. I sell albums in every area of my business, whether it's weddings, maternity, or boudoir. And each year, album sales account for a huge chunk of my income. But just because it's a major part of my business doesn't mean I want to spend a ton of time doing those designs. So that's why I use Fundy Designer 11. Now, I started using Fundy Designer back in 2020, but prior to that, I had been using their competitor software since the beginning of my photography career. And in truth, there was nothing wrong with that software, but Fundy Designer gives me the opportunity to customize my albums to a different degree than what I was getting in the previous software. Now, Fundy does have a bit of a learning curve to really understand the software, but that's why I'm creating this tutorial today to help you better understand the software so that you can create albums for your clients with ease. So when you first get into the software, you'll have this window that pops up. Now here you can choose to open up a previous project, or you can start a new one. So we'll come here, start a new one. We'll call it test project. And for the time being, I'll save it to my desktop. And then we'll do create project. Now here is where you can begin to import photos, or you can do them a little bit later. So if we go here, we can click import photos, navigate to the window or the folder rather, where we want to pull those files from and upload them, or we can wait till later and we can import them afterward. Now this screen, the design for me screen, gives you the option to either have your album and cards and wall art and stuff auto design for you in the system, or you can customize it. Now I always choose to customize it. That way I can choose all of the settings that I like. And here we're given a prompt to customize all of our settings for either our album or wall art, cards like thank you cards and that sort of thing, or a slideshow. So for the moment, we're actually just going to turn these off because we're not going to deal with these in this video, and we're just going to focus on the album. Now, by default, Miller's is selected, but I use H&H Color Lab for most of my albums. I use the Salvatore Sincata line, and we'll do an album for one of my Black Label clients. So that album is a 12 by 12. I don't do any sort of cover image on that, so we'll get rid of that. Design style by default will be album. We'll stick with that. All of this information looks good, and we can set it up to specify the number of pages, the total number of images, what's the minimum number of images we want to use on a particular spread, and the maximum number per spread. Now, standard for me for clients is 30 pages for that Black Label album, which most people typically add additional. I like my albums to be a little bit more streamlined, so we'll say 100 images total, 1 image per spread, and we'll say up to 12 images. Now from here, we just hit design project. Now we're getting this prompt because it's looking for the images to be there so that it can automatically build out the album. So I'm gonna skip this for now because I'll show you how that works later on in the video. But from here, we'll move on over to open our album, and then we can start to import our images. So as I mentioned earlier, there was another way to import images, and we can either do that by dragging images into this section here below, or hitting add photos over here on the right, and then navigating to the photos that we want. So if I come on over to the Finder and navigate to the images that I want, here I could select a group of images or the entire folder, drag them over, and Fundy loads in those images. Or alternatively, you can come over here to where it says add photos, navigate to our folder, select a group of images, and then import those images. Now, one of the cool features about Fundy Designer that they added in version 11 is the ability to be able to retouch your images. Typically, when you first open a project and you upload your photos, it gives you the option to begin the retouching process at that time. But since I uploaded the images afterward, now we just have to go into Fundy and ask it to do the retouching for us. You can do this in two ways. You can either do a single image. I just double clicked on it. And if we navigate down here where it says edit on the right side, the system has all of these pre-built in options for you to be able to add retouching to your image. So let's actually zoom in a little bit. I'll zoom in, navigate down so we can see what's going on. And you can see that my client here, she has a little bit of texture on her face. So we'll go in and we'll start off with intelligent retouch to see what that looks like. And you see it brightens the image, took down some of those blemishes just a little bit, but it didn't get rid of them completely. But then there are these sliders here where you can actually pull the sliders more for more skin retouching, more eye enhancement, which that's obviously too much. We can go and change the eye circle removal, so like the dark spots. And actually, let me zero this out. And if I go back to intelligent retouch, do eye circle removal. See, it got a little bit going on there, nothing too much. Exposure correction, it looks like it's in the middle. I can take it up there. So there's all these little things that we can do to enhance our images while we're inside of the system and not have to go back into, Photoshop or Lightroom. And if we click through, you'll see there's different levels of retouching just based off of whatever your personal preferences are. Now that's just retouching on one image, but you can actually retouch every image here inside of Fundy just by simply doing a select the image, select all. And if you come up here to where it says images, click retouch, it'll bring up that window for you. And if we let's navigate over to a phase. Maybe let's try to go back to one we had before. We apply the setting that we want, and then we ask the system to sync. And as you can see, if we go to the rest of the images, intelligent retouch is selected on all of those images. So now that we have all of those images retouched, let's go into the design process for our album. Now, because of the fact that we have all of the images uploaded for us, remember, we do have the design for me and the design wizard that we can go to and have Fundy automatically do the design for us. So let's take a look at that. Now, if you do design for me, it's going to design the album for you along with thank you cards, a slideshow, so on and so forth. This is fine if you're doing all of that stuff, but it doesn't allow you to customize the album the way that you may want it. When you use design for me, it's going to take every single image that you've uploaded and then create its own number of pages, number of images per page, and so on and so forth. But if we go back to customize, here we can again decide on which album company we want, style of album, the size of the album, which we did previously. But now we can come over here, those customizations that we did earlier with the number of pages, the number of images that we want to use, as well as the maximum number of images per spread, and then design the project, and we can have a much more streamlined design. Many people typically just have clients select the images that they want, and then they design the album based on what the client is giving them. I personally don't do that, and that's primarily because it's going to take me a lot longer to get those images from the client so that I can design the album, which kind of holds things up on my side, which I want to avoid. Plus two, if the client is doing the design, it doesn't allow me to maximize the number of pages that I can put inside of the album. So my goal when I'm creating an album is to create a story that flows from the first page down to the last one. Whereas clients, they're just gonna select a bunch of pictures that they like or that they're emotionally tied to, which again, that's fine. We wanna be able to make our clients happy. But in many instances, your clients are just gonna take a hodgepodge of photos and try to jam them within that 30 pages. And then for me, it just kind of takes away from the art of album design. So although this album comes standard as 30 pages, my goal is to get clients to have wedding albums that are upwards to 60 and 70 pages. And the only way that I can do that is to create a design that flows extremely well and tells the story of the wedding day. So if we look at the design that Fundy gave us under design for me, I mean, it works. I mean, obviously it took a bunch of random images, it kind of stuffed them together. It gives you a little bit from every part of the day. There's some groom and bride prep there. You know, here's just the bow tie. Here's all groom prep, more groom prep mixed with bride prep. So it gives you a little bit of everything, but this may not necessarily be the best design or the design that you want to go for. So starting from here, we can actually click on any one of these spreads, move in, and then replace any of the images. So let's see, let's make this one a little bit more bride focused. So let's do her shoes. Let's do the wedding ring. We'll drop that in there. And actually, let's go ahead and just delete all of the groom stuff. We'll drop her perfume in. Let's see. Yep, there was a lay flat, so we'll drop that lay flat in there. And that's roughly about it for this. So here you can see we took a bunch of images, we put it in, and it did its own design, which is fantastic. But the thing that I love about Fundy versus other softwares, now I can actually go in and customize this as much as I want. I can say, hey, you know what? I want the ring to be a little bit bigger, and I can create enough space for the ring. And let's see, let's kind of take this down. I actually don't need this because I have these details here, so let's take that out. I don't like just the bracelet by itself, so let's take that out. And it gives me a design that I'm happy with. So let's say I want to be able to pull in focus on the rings a little bit more. I can go down here to where this wrench is. Under the image adjustments, I can zoom in, and then I can readjust inside of this particular section, which is amazing. I've never worked with another album design software that gave me that much flexibility. Same thing here, we can actually change the layout. So let's say we like the images that we have, but we don't like the layout. We can select the layout, and it brings us all of these different layouts that we can choose from. I personally saw one on the first page that I'm not quite mad at. So let's actually take this one because I do want to show off that large lay fat. I don't like this huge border here. So let's actually take this up to where the cut lines are. Take this down as well. Take this over. So it gives us space, and then let's create a little bit more room for the shoes there. Perfect. So now here in this lay flat, we have all of the different elements, and then now we're pushed in with some close-up on those elements. Now, if we want to get back to that view where we were able to see all of our spreads, we just come up here to view, click on that, and it shows us all of the spreads that Fundy auto-generated for us. And again, we have the ability to be able to make adjustments to any of this stuff. So let's say spread 3, we want to add some additional images there. I can literally just come down here to our area below, take the images and drop them in wherever I see fit. And then as always, if I want to customize, I can just double click on that actual spread and refine it by getting rid of the things that I don't want. So these are pretty similar shots. So let's take this one out. So we have him getting his bow tie put on. Yeah, we got that. So let's drop that in. I'll worry about how it's all laid out in a minute. Then now I can go into layouts. Let's select this layout, drag some items around. Let's put this here. I like things to be more in the order of how they happened. So we can drag these around. Actually, let's take another look at the layout. Oh yeah, I like this. And then we can go back and look at our whole album. Now, I've already gone ahead and meticulously designed this album, so I'll show you what the finished product is that I came up with. Now, one of the coolest features about Fundy is that not only can you have your album as a project, but you can also create a sub-album. So let's say, for instance, you are creating an album for the bride and groom, but then you're also creating a completely different album for their parents. You can do that here within the same file. So just like you saw me manipulating this particular album, I've already gone ahead and designed the final album. So if we come up here to where it says album, you can see this is album, the page where we're designing in right now, and then final album, which is the completed design that I did prior to recording the video. And if we take a little tour, let's double click on the first one. Looks like this one got messed up. So let's go back and select that. Let's make this, let's make this a little bit bigger. Create a little bit of room there. Okay, cool. And we can actually just scroll through. And in that design process, you see, I'm mindful of the cut lines, right? I don't want to have cut lines going directly through someone's faces. I like to use a lot of hero images inside of the album. It kind of breaks up that the monotony of just having pages with like a bunch of images on the inside. Having those hero images make the album stand out. Those are the pages that as your clients flipping through the album, they'll look at that page and they'll stop on that page. They'll stop at the other pages and, you know, just kind of look around to see the different pictures. But those images that span across the entire spread are those high impact images that they're gonna sit and ruminate on for a little bit. Groomsmen shot, all of the individual images of the groomsmen, plus adding a photo of him and dad, brides and bridesmaids, couple, hero shot, bride, groom, reception, so on and so forth. Now, if you haven't tried Fundy Designer yet, then I'll leave a code down below where you can sign up and give it a try for 30 days. And if it makes your life easier, which I know that it will, then go ahead and sign up and save yourself some time when it comes to designing these albums for your clients. Yes, we want to be able to give them the best possible product that we can, but at the same time, we don't want to spend a lot of time doing it. And Fundy Designer can help with that. In the meantime, if you have any additional questions, then be sure to drop those comments down below. And as always, be sure to come back and check me out in the next video.